The United States of America possesses one of the most powerful, highly advanced, and well-equipped militaries on Earth. Yet Iran remains an entrenched and difficult target to strike. This raises a critical question. What happens when the United States unleashes its full military weight against Iran in an escalating conflict? The geography of this theater is vast, stretching from the United States' regional footprint in Iraq across the borders of Iran. But the focus of the war is found in the water, specifically around Karg Island and the narrow passage of the Strait of Hormuz. Understanding this collision requires looking past standard troop numbers to analyze two completely opposed military doctrines. America's operational advantage relies on an interconnected system known as a kill web. Global naval projection allows the U.S. to transport self-sustaining air bases anywhere in the world, maintaining a constant presence off any coastline. From the air, stealth bombers bypass early warning radars to deliver deep penetrating munitions into highly protected territory. Unmanned systems like the Global Hawk provide continuous, high-altitude intelligence back to the fleet. These streams of data are fused in real time at regional military bases, allowing for rapid targeting. This network enables the U.S. to deploy a massive volume of conventional heavy payloads from Allied desert airstrips. The entire kill web is designed to dominate open space, utilize precision weapons, and project overwhelming kinetic force. In response, Iran has built a denial web designed to absorb massive force rather than match it directly. The country uses its rugged, mountainous geography to shield its most critical military assets from air superiority. This includes deep subterranean bunkers, built into rock formations to survive even the most specialized bunker-busting munitions. Above ground, Iran layers the sky with mobile surface-to-air missile defenses to create lethal zones for incoming aircraft. Their offensive strategy relies on massive fleets of cheap, expendable combat drones. At sea, highly maneuverable fast attack boats are used to swarm and harass larger, more advanced U.S. destroyers. Iran's defense doctrine is not designed to win a traditional war. It is intended to make any American victory too costly to pursue. In the 2026 scenario, as diplomatic channels break down, this collision moves into a real-time stress test. Verified reports of the opening salvo show Iranian ballistic missiles launching against targets across the region. Guided missile destroyers immediately move into the Persian Gulf to establish a defensive perimeter. U.S. stealth fighters launch from carrier decks to secure the contested airspace. The retaliation is relentless, requiring continuous nighttime sortie operations to maintain pressure on Iranian defenses. Despite the volume of fire, battlefield information remains disputed, and casualty claims are unverified. Iran continues to absorb the strikes while retaliating with continuous drone threats against regional bases. Simultaneously, Iranian forces apply intense pressure along maritime choke points. Neither side backs down, even as the volume of weapons deployed increases. The sustained pace of these exchanges shows the limits of air power in this environment. Despite the intensity of the campaign, the lack of a breakthrough indicates that firepower alone is not yielding a decisive result. Can overwhelming American firepower actually force Iran to surrender? The hard limitation of the kill web is that no amount of precision bombing can destroy a mountain range. This brings the conflict to the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest point, the passage is only 21 miles wide. This proximity allows Iran to exert significant pressure on global oil supplies, using the same asymmetric naval and missile assets seen earlier. Ultimately, the weapons deployed by both sides are secondary to the permanence of the terrain itself. A conflict here is defined by physical boundaries that no level of technology can neutralize. The United States military operates with a scale and global reach unmatched by any other conventional force on Earth. In the Middle East, this presence is often anchored by massive aircraft carriers, floating military bases capable of projecting thousands of tons of ordnance across the region in minutes. These naval groups are integrated with stealth aircraft like the B-2 Spirit, which can launch from distant bases and receive mid-air refueling to sustain precision strikes over an extended campaign. In a hypothetical 2026 escalation, this massive network of firepower would be deployed to suppress Iranian defenses. The immediate question is whether this overwhelming deployment of steel and technology forces Tehran to capitulate. Standard military mathematics fail in this environment. Comparing conventional assets ignores the asymmetric reality of the confrontation and the specific strategic goals of each side. Iranian planners acknowledge they cannot win a direct force-on-force conventional war against the United States. Instead, they have constructed an asymmetric military architecture. They avoid traditional military formations that are easily tracked and destroyed from the sky. Their primary strategic objective is deterrence through friction. By guaranteeing that a conventional conflict will exact severe and continuous tolls, they attempt to make the initiation of a war too painful for American forces to consider. If a 2026 escalation forces the U.S. to launch strikes against Iranian military infrastructure, American pilots and missiles would quickly hit early warning radars and command centers. In response, Iran would activate a vast network of ballistic missiles. Mounted on mobile transport vehicles, these systems are driven out of underground tunnels, fired, and relocated before satellites can lock onto their coordinates. This missile barrage would be paired with the mass deployment of cheap, expendable drones, designed specifically to saturate the airspace and exhaust advanced radar systems. This relies on a tactical doctrine known as cost imposition. A single Iranian drone might cost a few $1,000s to manufacture. To shoot it down, a U.S. destroyer typically fires an interceptor missile that costs millions of dollars. When forced into a prolonged exchange of munitions at these ratios, the United States spends millions to counter thousands. Over time, this economic attrition neutralizes America's technological advantage. The geography of the Persian Gulf coastline defines the decisive theater of this war, rendering the open desert and high-altitude skies secondary to the terrain. This map illustrates the highly constrained geography of the Persian Gulf, which restricts the maneuverability of large naval vessels. The jagged Iranian coastline provides natural cover, concealing anti-ship missile batteries and mobile radars in deep valleys, allowing commanders to launch surprise attacks and immediately retreat. On the water, Iran relies on swarms of highly maneuverable fast attack vessels. These small speedboats are equipped with heavy machine guns and rockets, operating in coordinated packs to harass giant, slow-moving American warships. By pulling the conflict into this specific geographic arena, the physical map itself becomes a weapon. In these confined waters, the sheer size of a U.S. Navy destroyer becomes a strategic vulnerability. The most critical point on this map is the Strait of Hormuz, a tight bottleneck with a navigable channel barely 21 miles wide. Roughly 20% of the world's total oil consumption and a quarter of global liquefied natural gas is forced to transit through this single, highly exposed channel every day. The immediate threat of military crossfire effectively paralyzes this transit. Heavy, unwieldy commercial tankers cannot dodge incoming debris, mines, or errant missile strikes. At the first sign of a prolonged shooting war, shipping companies order their crews to drop anchor. Transit halts entirely, and maritime insurance premiums skyrocket to levels that make moving cargo economically impossible. Tehran's true ultimate weapon is the geographic ability to sever the world's primary energy artery at will. A localized blockade in this strait instantly fractures global supply chains far beyond the Middle East. Everyday trade grinds to a halt as ships stack up outside the Gulf. As this map illustrates, the economic shockwave radiates outward. Deprived of millions of barrels of oil a day, energy prices in Europe spike drastically, which in turn halts heavy manufacturing across Asia as power grids and factories struggle to operate. Because modern financial markets price in this risk immediately, the economic chain reaction is practically instantaneous. The U.S. military is afforded no time to safely secure the waterway before the global damage is done. This looming threat maintains an uneasy stalemate. It forces continuous back-channel negotiations through neutral neighbors like Oman, where diplomats attempt to manage tensions before they can ignite the shipping lanes. American firepower can destroy targets anywhere on Earth, but it cannot bomb away geography. This reality makes the prevention of a global economic catastrophe the ultimate strategic requirement. Looking at a map of the Middle East, the physical footprint of the United States military is staggering. In the waters surrounding the Arabian Peninsula, American naval strike groups operate with absolute dominance, supported in the air by stealth fighters designed to bypass traditional radar networks and strike deep into hostile territory. Long-range bombers add to this reach, capable of launching from distant continents to hit specific coordinates from thousands of miles away. When a conflict is measured by hardware, logistics, and conventional firepower, the United States holds an unmatched advantage. If Washington were to unleash that full conventional power, the night sky would quickly fill with thousands of precision munitions. Within hours, communication arrays go dark. Runways are cratered. The skies are secured. But neutralizing an enemy's arsenal creates a vacuum. Once the initial targets are destroyed, the focus shifts to a far more difficult landscape. In modern warfare, a successful strike campaign simply moves the conflict into its next phase. Both nations are forced to confront a reality that continues long after the explosions stop. For a country like Iran, the primary defense against air power is the friction of its geography. This rugged, mountainous terrain provides heavy natural protection. Deep inside these rock formations sits a decentralized network of underground bunkers, housing launch sites and command centers that are difficult to reach from the air. This terrain allows their primary retaliatory weapon, a vast arsenal of mobile ballistic missiles, to remain concealed until the exact moment of deployment. They pair these missiles with swarms of low-cost drones, launched in waves designed to saturate and confuse traditional radar screens. To counter these numerous threats, the United States must activate expensive air defense networks, firing interceptors that can cost millions of dollars to down a single inexpensive drone. This asymmetric approach prioritizes survival over direct engagement, absorbing the initial damage while driving up the political and economic costs of a prolonged operation. The ultimate geographic weapon in this conflict is the Strait of Hormuz, a global energy choke point 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. By positioning defense systems along this coastline, a constant threat is projected directly over the commercial shipping lanes that fuel the global economy. Constant pressure from naval patrols and fast attack boats forces international logistics companies into an immediate crisis. Commercial traffic halts, shipping routes fracture as fleets are diverted around entire continents, causing maritime insurance premiums to spike. This physical bottleneck translates instantly into financial shock. Global energy prices surge, triggering a secondary wave of panic across international markets. Through this strategy, a localized military confrontation in the Persian Gulf effectively weaponizes the global economy. While missiles and blockades dominate the headlines, a secondary, quieter front of the conflict operates in tandem with the military campaign. In neutral grounds like Oman, diplomats meet to exchange terms and manage the fallout, attempting to keep the violence from spiraling out of control. It creates a modern paradox. A nation can be executing high-intensity strikes on one front, while actively negotiating a political resolution on another. These efforts lead to three scenarios. First, full escalation, where the conflict spreads into an uncontrollable regional crisis. Second, limited conflict. Both sides maintain pressure for leverage, avoiding total collapse. Third, a diplomatic deal, reducing tensions through mutually workable terms. For an asymmetric power, the objective is to survive the onslaught long enough to inflict widespread economic pain on nations far beyond the battlefield. Ultimately, winning the first battle is irrelevant if the political objective remains out of reach. True victory belongs to whichever side avoids triggering a crisis that neither can control.